It's like one of those mornings, people. Okay, sorry. You can, anytime that you are in a calendar invite, you can see that you can hit this take meeting notes button. It's going to immediately open you up into a Google Docs section where it's going to have all the information on the meeting. And then my favorite thing about this is that those notes are then linked to that calendar invite forever. So you can always go back to that specific meeting, and if you wanted to look at the notes, you can find them linked there. I think that's a lot easier than like searching through your Google Drive or something like that. So anyway, hope that's helpful. The real star of the show today is we are going to be talking about Gemini. So if you have never heard of Gemini before, if you're like, Rosie, what is this? This is Google's response to ChatGPT. So this is their kind of AI robot that I think they've done really interesting things with. Not only can you use it very much like ChatGPT, which I'll show you in a second, but they've also baked it into all of their tools. And last year, they came to us as a Google admin and they were like, Rosie, you're only going to get this for certain members, like your top tier Google subscription. And then they rolled that back and they were like, you know what? We're going to give Gemini to everyone who has a workspace account, which all of you do throughout properties. So you literally all have access to Gemini, and I think they've done a really good job with it. So I'm going to go over some like very basic AI stuff first, because I'm operating under the assumption that some of you have maybe even never dipped your toes into the AI sphere. Maybe none of you have ever opened up ChatGPT or Gemini. So there's going to be some very basic things, and then we're going to progress into some more like very fun things. So we're going to look at the top 5 ways to use Gemini as a real estate agent. But first things first, where do you find this? Again, you can access it very similar to a ChatGPT. You can just go to gemini.google.com. You're going to be logged into your app properties account and you'll have access to this. You can have it pulled up on your desktop and ask it any prompts here. Or you can download it on your phone as an app, just called Google Gemini. And then what we're going to talk about a little bit is that they have done a really good job, I think, of baking Gemini into all of their tools. And if you're like me, you've seen Gemini pop up quite a bit within your account. And I had not taken the time to like really dig in and learn what Gemini was, because sometimes if I'm like in my headspace where I'm like just getting stuff done and something's popping up at me, I'm like, go away. But I spent some time this past week really learning a lot about Gemini, and I think there's some great ways that you can use it. Okay, so the very first one, and again, this is very basic, but let's have Gemini write listing descriptions for us. So this is the prompt that I gave it last night. Write a compelling SEO-friendly listing description for 1234 Main Street in Broad Ripple. My favorite things about this house are blah, 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 blah. I'm going to show you, this is what I inputted, and then it drops me down this like huge, like paragraph of it. And I'm like, I don't need that. I just need a paragraph. So I went back in and I was like, can you just make it shorter to fit it into a paragraph? And it was like, yep, here it is. And then I went back and I added, oh, can you actually make it SEO friendly, which means it has like very like SEO, meaning like search engine optimization words in there. So things that people are like, oh, I want a house that's like close to the Monon Trail that has a good walkable score. It's gonna spit that out for me. And then I was like, oh, okay, I still need it a little shorter. And I was like, yep, sure thing. And then it gave me 2 options. Here's a paragraph that focuses on the vibe and the walkability, and here is one that focuses on the cuteness and the secret speakeasy space. So I think you choose one of those. My only thing that I am going to warn you of, which if you are a ChatGPT user, you probably already know this, that a lot of times AI kind of has a way that it speaks, right? You can sometimes read content that's generated by AI and be like, was that written by AI? So I think just be careful to like proofread whatever it spits out for you and make sure it also sounds like you. So if you need to go through and like change out a couple of words to make it sound more like you, make sure you're doing that. Okay, next way, I think this is brilliant. Write a script for a client conversation. Sometimes what you have to go to clients with can be really challenging. So what I had Jim and I write up for me yesterday was, can you write a script for me for a client that needs to drop their price on a house? Maybe you're like, oh, this is my first listing. I've never had to had this conversation before with my clients. I've never had to tell someone, hey, you have to drop the price on your house. How do you go about that? I think Jim and I can give you some great ideas of how that works. So I put in this prompt yesterday. Can you write me a script for how to tell a client we need to drop the price on their listing that has been sitting too long? And it walked me through, great. Here are some talking points. Here's a script for you. Here's some things, some key tips for delivery. I thought it was great. I think, again, my warning is make sure you read this, think critically about it. If something seems off, give Mark or Megan a call and ask them like, hey, this is kind of what I'm thinking for this conversation. Is that what you would do, or should I switch it up a little bit? Okay, you can use Gemini as an email assistant. I love this one too, so we're getting progressively a little more complicated. So again, Gemini has been baked into a lot of different tools. You can see it if you hit right here. You're going to see Gemini pull up alongside your email, and you can ask it a bunch of different prompts. So I had it pull up, can you read my most important unread emails? Can you show me all of those? And it basically filtered out all of the spam emails that I got and just pulled up all of the things that I felt like I really needed to respond to. Some other prompts that you can give it that I tested out last night. Can you show me my past 3 emails with Mark Nottingham? Can you summarize this whole email for me? How should I respond to this email? Maybe you get an email that you're like, oof, I don't know how to respond to that. It can whip up a couple of responses for you. And then I love this one. Give me a list of action items from this email too. Can you just summarize for me and shoot me what all I need to do from this? Okay, this was, tough to say, but I think this might be my favorite way to use this. Create a marketing plan with Gemini. So I plugged this in yesterday. I'm going to read this whole thing for you. I'm a real estate agent in Indianapolis, Indiana. Write out a marketing plan that includes all of the following items: 2 social media posts per week and content ideas for them, 3 client events per year. My brokerage puts on some, an ice skating event in February and renting out the drive-in in September. Can you add in 1 client event that I do on my own and a plan for that? I'd also love to see email marketing drafts and plans for postcards sent to clients, as well as pop-by gifts. What? You don't have to spend a bunch of time creating a marketing plan for yourself. It'll drop all that in for you. So it literally gave me all this information. And then over here, I asked it, okay, that all sounds great. Can you sort this out by date for me in 2026? I want to know exactly what days I should be doing all of these things in 2026. It was like, of course, let me just create a calendar for you that says 2026 real estate marketing calendar and throw it on your Google Calendar. That's why I think Gemini is so powerful, is it creates all of these tools, or it combines all these tools that you're already using. So if you're already an avid Google Calendar fan like I am, and then it just spits out a whole calendar for you plugged in with your marketing material. I think that's super amazing. Okay, last thing that I want to show you is that you can actually create marketing videos with the AI tools built into Google. They launched this tool in April of 2024 called Google Vids, and it's a way for you to create video content, AI-generated video content with them. Hang tight. I am going to share this tab. Okay, when you want to get to Google Vids, you are going to hit on this little menu button for Google, and you're going to hit Vids. It is going to open up, and it's going to ask you what kind of video you want to create. So there's a lot of different options here. I chose this one. This is kind of their trademark product for this this tool. It's called Veo 3, and it will create AI generated 8-second clips based on your description. It's kind of amazing. So last night I gave it this prompt: create a video where a woman is walking down the street in a neighborhood in Indianapolis with her husband and child, and they are laughing. And it gave me this. I think AI still has a little bit of a way to go. Like, you can tell these are generated people, but I think that's kind of amazing. And I think the one thing that I noticed, the audio was super, yes, Rob, Gemini does this for free. So like the one thing that I noticed on this is that the audio that they generated with it was really weird, but I think like this is amazing if this is amazing if you were just looking for something that goes behind a caption on Instagram, or you're looking for like a really quick reel to put content over. Google Vids can create that for you relatively quickly. So if you guys are interested in this tool and you want me to do like a full deep dive on like how to make videos and how all that works, happy to. But that is what I have for you today. Next week, we're going to be going over Google Tasks and Google Keep. So I hope you guys will be joining for that. We do not have Megan Sullivan, or Megan is on the call, but she's driving up to Lafayette right now. So we are going to turn it right over to Mark Nottingham. Mark, take it away.
Hey, thanks, Rosie. Morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Couple quick reminders of some calendar items, and then I'm going to cover two things today. Number one, we have our 2-day Ninja Now installation, November 11th and 12th. Many of you have signed up, which is awesome. Reminder for those that have been through a Ninja installation previously, a 4-day that we've done here previously, this installation is designed for you. It is designed for someone that has already been through the 4-day. I would just say a reminder to keep in mind that Ninja, as a practice and mindset, it's not something that you ever move beyond or master or have down. It's something that we believe an annual check-in, reminder, disciplining your mind to kind of center around it is very, very helpful. So we look forward to many of you being there. For those that have not done a Ninja installation previously, you are able to attend. We're asking that you, at a minimum, read Ninja Selling, because the 2-day installation is going to assume that you have a baseline knowledge of Ninja. So stay on top of that, read through Ninja Selling. For those that are doing the coordinated book study that we're doing as a company, when we end this call, I'm actually leading that discussion today at 10 o'clock. So we'll see a couple of you virtually there. But looking forward to the Ninja installation in about a month. Second thing, just a quick reminder, October 29th, 3 weeks from today, Foundation Title is having their grand opening, 911 Mass Ave, basically across the street and about a block up Mass Ave. Hopefully y'all can make it. We want to kind of keep reminding you of this because I don't know who it's going to be, but someone will show up for a closing at 8:30 Mass Ave and have their clients go there. It very well might be me, but I know it's going to happen. Good news is no worries. You're going to be less than a block away from where you need to get to. But just a reminder that as of October 29th, that all that closing activity, all the Foundation Title activity will be moving about 3/4 of a block up and across the street. So, okay, my two things for today. I've got updated IAR Housing Hub data from September. We're going to take a look at that. But first, I want to bring up office exclusives. This is something that Megan has hit on recently on the call. And I think this is something that's worth bringing up several times because I think this tool will be underutilized, generally speaking, in the industry. And I want to make sure everybody in our company understands the value of the office exclusive listing contract. So quick context. I know this is repeat information, but I think it's just good refresher. Not that long ago, now this is before many of you were in the industry, but not that long ago, National Association of Realtors creates a rule called Clear Cooperation that is designed to prevent realtors from doing what used to be called pocket listings or coming soon listings as the kind of narrative surrounding this would be that realtors were trying to get both sides of a transaction. They would find ways to market a listing before they would put it in an MLS in order to try to get it directly to the consumer. Right? Now, I think there's all sorts of reasons that realtors were doing this, but I do think one of the motivators was, yeah, if I can get both sides of the deal, I'll do that. Well, there's some issues with that to other realtors. There's some issues with that to buyers in terms of transparency and exposure. So NAR comes in and creates this rule. Well, in the years since the rule came into place, there have been many iterations of how is this rule interpreted. NAR has changed and clarified the rule multiple times, but even probably more confusing than that is that NAR has said to local boards and MLSs, here's the rule, but you have to decide how your local marketplace enforces this rule. How do you interpret it? How do you apply it to your MLS rules? And how do you enforce it? So it's not necessarily consistent market to market. Even in the two MLSs that we work in, there's differences in terms of how they interpret and enforce these rules. But the thing that Megan hit on that comes from NAR that I think is really significant in this category is that office exclusive contract is now a very valuable tool that in almost every case will accomplish what you want to accomplish with and for your seller and protect your compensation and allow you to stay in compliance with your MLS. Like I'll be honest, I think there was a point in time where it was very difficult to do all three of those things. How do I represent the interest of my seller correctly according to what they're telling me they want? How do I make sure I have protected contracted compensation for the work that I'm doing? And how do I stay in compliance with the rules of my MLS? They're all three really important. We ought to be able to do all three of them. And I think for a period of time, in some situations, it was difficult to do that. Office exclusive as a contract, now I think in almost every case, lets you do that. And the two reasons, number one, days on market are now not really a factor in this. In other words, you can sign an office exclusive contract with your client, have it in place, it guarantees your compensation, you're allowed to market it under certain rules. We'll cover that in a second. But if you then don't sell it in that period of time and need to replace that contract with a standard listing contract and set it live in your MLS, days on market they have not been accumulating. So the first day that you're live with a normal listing contract is day on market number one, right? So that eliminates one of the concerns. The second thing that has either changed or been clarified, depending on who you ask, moot point as far as I'm concerned, we now know NAR has said, if Lee and Rob, I'll use you guys, since you're the first two I can see visually here. If Lee has signed an office exclusive listing contract with his client, we know that he has always been able to market that property to Rob because they're in the same brokerage. So in any way that Lee wants, he can send it to Rob and say, Rob, I bet you have a buyer for this. Let's do a deal, right? That's great. Well, one of the limitations of office exclusive has been, but Lee can't call the friendly FC Tucker agent that works in his neighborhood and say, hey, I've got a great listing. You're not going to see it in the VLC. It's an office exclusive, but I know you are likely to have a buyer. Let's do a deal. Now he can. And that's critical. The rules do not allow Lee to post the listing on the internet. He can't put it on social media. It can't show up on a publicly facing website. He can't mass market to agents that are outside of his company, but he can phone call, text message, email, one-on-one individual communication, market the property to any realtor that he wants. He can also market the property one-on-one to any consumer that he wants. He was always able to do that because in theory, they're potential buyers of his. So what does that do? Well, that means just kind of like summarizing this, distilling it down to like, well, how and when do I use this? If you have a seller that is ready to commit to working with you as their listing realtor, but for any reason, the house is not ready to go into the MLS within the next 48 hours, you should sign an office exclusive. I see no reason. I'm willing to hear a scenario where I was like, yep, didn't consider that, but I see no downside to having the office exclusive executed in that moment because it does two things. Number one, it protects Lee's compensation in that interim period before the house is going to go into the MLS. Number two, it gives him the legal right to market the property without accumulating days on market. And now Lee needs to be on the same page with his seller regarding, are you ready to show this house, for example, right? If the house isn't ready to go live because they're in the middle of a kitchen renovation, Lee may want to market the property in a very specific way because he's not actually trying to show it yet. That's probably more of a pre-market status where it could be very visible in the MLS. You're drumming up interest, but you can't show it, right? But in most cases, I just spoke with one of we're going to start seeing this right now. Is the time of year where many of you, Lee, I'll keep using you as an example here. Many of you are going to be in conversation with the seller about, should I list my house the Monday after Thanksgiving, or should I just wait until February or March? It's a great question. There's plenty of data that suggests they're probably better off waiting until March. If they can afford to do that, if it works in their timeline, right? So here's a really good example of office exclusive. They can say, yep, let's work a plan to make sure you guys have the house ready to go. We're going to hit the peak day, and my research indicates it's going to be Monday, March 3rd or whatever, right? However, let's sign this office exclusive in between now and March 3rd so that I can float the property to some people that are working in your neighborhood. We don't have to burn our best chance, our first day on market, to mass exposure. Let's hold that until spring. But I can float this to a lot of realtors that might have a buyer that's ready to go. Are you okay if I do that? Because I might need to show your house next week, right? So Lee wants to be on the same page. Before I transition to the IAR Housing Hub, I know we've hit this several times. I'm going to look at the chat. I see one question, one comment phrased as a question. Good try, Josh. Sarah's question is a good one. The rule on this regarding entry into the MLS, I believe, is different between IR MLS and MIBOR. So yes, Sarah, great question. In the MyBoard BLC, the rule is that the office exclusive needs to be entered into the BLC within 48 hours, but it's entered as an office exclusive, meaning other realtors can't see it that way. So you're not doing something for the seller by entering it. You're doing something to stay in compliance with your MLS so that they have a record of the contract that you have. Now, if you're going to set the property live, there is some efficiency in that. Like you're kind of entering it early or later, going to change the status. Josh is referencing the house that he was the example that I gave that last week. He and I were talking about this. We don't often shout out specific listings on this call, but I'll give Josh credit and say house at 66 in Keystone that he has an office exclusive on. Before I transition, any other questions on that? Megan has commented that since she brought this back up, she has for sure signed more office exclusive contracts than she had at any point recently, which is great. So we think this is a good tool and you should be using it. Comments or questions on that before I move on?
Hey, Mark.
Yeah. Hi, Megan.
Hi, good morning. Can you just maybe reiterate a little bit that there's no public marketing on these, no sign in the yard, all that kind of stuff, just to clarify the difference between pre-market and office exclusive or listing coming soon?
Yep. Yeah, I think I used the term mass marketing. Maybe I think I could clarify that a bit more. Essentially, this is if the marketing is clearly designed to either go within your brokerage, which includes your client database, or to one individual. Those are the two ways in which you can market an office exclusive. So within your database and your company, or one-on-one directly to someone, which means not only internet, social media, but to Megan's point, a sign in the yard. That would violate the marketing rules of office exclusive. Pre-market, different status. Pre-market is designed for a scenario where you know you can't show the house. It's not actually even available to see yet. But you want to generate buzz. You want to bottleneck interest so that the day that it goes live, you've had people paying attention to the house for 7 days, 14 days, however long, right? Can be a good strategy. Many of you are using this pre-marketing status. It is in the MLS. It is visible in searches in the MLS. You are allowed to put a sign in the yard. Generally, it'll say coming soon. You're allowed to post about it on the internet. All of those rules are different because you can't show it. So if you have a property in pre-market and you're marketing it and somebody's like begging you, please get me in there, I've got your buyer. To stay in compliance with the rules, you would have to then set that property live so that the rest of the marketplace knows, oh, okay, they said, well, I can't show it, but they just changed the date. They set it to today. And I'll just say, anytime, shoot Megan or I a text, give us a call. Always happy to talk through, like, okay, what's the seller trying to accomplish? Which of those vehicles is the right one? I think maybe the high level thing is there is now in almost every scenario a contract that exists that allows you to do it by the rules and protect your compensation. Thanks for the clarifier, Megan. Okay, I'm going to jump into IR Housing Hub data for September. If a question occurs to you about office exclusive, drop it into the chat and I will double check it before we finish the call. So here is some September data. I think you all can see that. Hopefully you can see it. Okay. September numbers. Continued trajectory in the same direction. So in all three of our markets and in the state of Indiana, inventory went up from August to September. Though that is very normal. We're in a time of year where inventory tends to go up. What is more significant than that, so if you look over here at the highlights section, all of these percentages are referencing year-over-year data. So this is September of 25 in comparison to September of 24. So in the state of Indiana, inventory was up 18%, days on market up 16%. Both of those are significant numbers. That's a big jump in available inventory. Fascinating that this month, September, year over year, all three of our marketplaces, which are more densely populated than most of the rest of the state and faster growing, inventory was up more in ours. Evansville, 26%, Indianapolis, 24%, Lafayette, this is now 2 months in a row where inventory is way higher than it was a year ago. And Lafayette, I know it's a simple way to look at this. If a particular area in Lafayette a year ago had 3 houses for sale, there's 5 houses for sale. That is one way to kind of distill this down, is like, yeah, that's a really big impact, and it shifts the leverage, right, between buyer and seller. My opinion, it's continuing to shift the leverage back toward an equilibrium, which is generally speaking the target, and good news. Certainly good news for realtors, certainly good news for buyers. One could argue that this increase in inventory is not good news for sellers, but keep in mind, in almost every transaction, a seller is also immediately going to become a buyer. And so equilibrium tends to be a healthy spot for everybody. What I would view as like the really big highlights, price, generally speaking, around the state, going up at a prototypical like annual average of 3% in Lafayette, 4% in Indy, 4% in the state of Indiana. That's what housing tends to do over really long periods of time. So that is a normal price appreciation, nothing out of the ordinary, certainly not going down, but going up at a normal pace. Evansville, really as an outlier, their price is up 11% from September of last year. Something to monitor. That's kind of an interesting jump, particularly as an outlier in the state. Transactions relatively flat with the exception of Lafayette. So I think you're seeing something interesting here in Lafayette, and those working in the market, you know this, those in the market working low inventory pocket, you know that inventory goes up. Transaction volume is going up. Went up 56%. Transactions September to September went up 38%. Because that equilibrium is bringing some people into the marketplace. And just generally, they're more likely to find a house that they want. So that's a part of why this is good news for realtors, is that when inventory is really low, it's hard for there to be transaction volume. We need inventory at certain levels and volume to be at its peak. So we're moving in a direction, particularly in general. I think if you're trying to figure out, well, what am I?
Hey, Mark, you are going in and out real bad.
Uh-oh.
You have a hot spot you can switch over to, Mark?
Okay, looks like I'm back okay. So I'm not sure where I cut out there, but I think if you're a realtor and you're looking at these numbers, you're thinking, okay, what am I rooting for, or how is this relevant for me? I would say, look, we could use 24 months in a row, like the last 3 that we've had. So like it's a move in the right direction. You're still going to get questions on, oh, is the crash coming? Is the big price correction coming? Because yeah, keep in mind, days on market, right? Like you noticed in the spreadsheet there, I also do track days on market or months of inventory. They're all going up and it feels like stagnant. So if days on market have gone up by 20%, we feel, oh gosh, nothing's moving. Things are stagnant. Just remember your reference point. And that now for a period of 90 days, we've seen inventory increasing. That is great news. We want it to continue to move in that way. You'd get different opinions on this, but I think just as a reference point, I would say another 2 years straight of inventory increase at the pace we're going on now would get us back to what economists would say is a balanced market between buyers and sellers, right? It might feel like a buyer's market right now. That's only because of the extreme circumstances we had in 21 and 22. It's moving toward balance, continues to be a seller's market. Yes, there's exceptions to this. As inventory increases, we see certain price ranges, certain pockets, certain classes of real estate that start moving really slowly. But yeah, I think generally speaking, there's reason to be optimistic. The transaction volume is the main driver of how your business feels. And right now, if you're going back to what was happening a year ago or 2 years ago, I think this is really great news for what business will look like next year. So we know how hard deals have been. We know that mutual releases are very high. Nobody's in love with the deal marketplace. If inventory keeps going up, we should see some easing of that pressure. Chris, let me answer Chris's question. Chris asked, what's that for Indy? So if it was 5 houses, so in a particular neighborhood last year, 3 houses were for sale. Right now in Lafayette, 12 months later, 5 houses are for sale. In Indy, it would be if 3 houses were for sale, there's almost 4 for sale now. So maybe a better way of saying that, if there were 6 houses in an area for sale, there's now 7. So a much more modest increase. Sorry about the audio. Hopefully it finished out okay. And hopefully it worked on the recording. We'll send it out. And if you missed the last 10 minutes, I don't know if there's any magic in there, but you could swing back in and watch the 10 minutes on video. Thanks for joining, y'all. Go and have an awesome Wednesday. We'll talk to you soon. I'll see many of you in about 15 minutes on the Ninja Book Club.